everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm bringing you a book haul. So I have 14 books to talk to you about today. Most of them are romance books, but not all of them are. I have been buying books at quite a rapid pace this year. It's safe to say that I did not get my TBR under control. It is out of control. Lots of books have come into my life this year, and I will soon be doing the book acquiring tag where I'm going to talk about my kind of buying and acquiring habits a lot more. Quickly, I'm going to whiz through some books that I've already read and then we'll get on to all of the new stuff. So I picked up 3 books on kind of like a seasonal theme. These are all books that I wanted to read in like the autumn around Halloween. So The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I'm sure this is one that you've already heard about, if not already read before. It's one that I've already read and I've spoken about it on the channel. But this is a very autumnal, seasonal romance about a young woman that is given a cafe to run by her aunt, and she moves to this kind of small rural town. And it is there that she meets a very grumpy farmer called Logan. And it's about the romance that follows on from there. Like, it's very kind of Gilmore Girls-esque. I mean, the author's called Laurie Gilmore. This wasn't my favorite romance, but like I enjoyed it and I will probably read the follow-up. My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. Again, I will leave the wrap-up link to where I spoke about this one in full, but I loved this so much. So this is about a girl who is pretty skint. She doesn't have a lot of money. So when she sees an apartment advertised for so cheap, she goes to see it and thinks like it must be too good to be true. And there are certainly a lot of weird things about this apartment and the man that lives there, Frederick. Of course, she doesn't know it yet, but he is a vampire and it's just really, really funny. Frederick is such a funny character. I found the chemistry between these two characters really believable. I loved this so much. I think it's probably one of my favorite romances of the year, actually. Now, Love in a Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. I'm actually like halfway through this at the minute. By the time you're seeing this video, I'll have hopefully finished it. So this is about Phoebe, who is a PhD candidate, and she is obsessed by kind of like true crime, and she's analysing the genre as part of her dissertation. While she is mourning the death of her father, she returns to their family home to kind of clean out the house, and it is then that she meets one of her father's old neighbours, or I guess now her new neighbour. But she's convinced that Sam is actually a serial killer, but it's very quickly apparent that it couldn't be like further from the truth. I'm not loving this so far, but do check in with me when I do my December wrap up to hear my full thoughts on it. The last of these books that I've already read is Love After Love by Ingrid Prasad. So I read this, or rather I listened to this on audiobook quite a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it, and I've never had a physical copy of it. So when I saw it for like £1 in a charity shop, I was like, I would love to add this book to my collection. So this is about the Ramdam Chaitin family, who are quite an unconventional family setup. So we have Betty, her shy son, and their lodger. They live together, as I said, quite unconventionally, but quite happily. They keep each other safe in an increasingly dangerous world. But one night, over a drink of rum and a heart-to-heart conversation, truths begin to spill out, secrets begin to come out that will drive this unconventional family unit apart. This was such an emotionally impactful book. It was one that I did not want to put down when I was reading it, and it was really unlike anything I'd ever read before, so very glad to be finally adding a copy of this to my shelves. Okay, now let's talk about the books that I haven't read yet. So in November, was it November? I was working at Yalk on my works stall, and even though I told myself that I wasn't there to buy stuff for myself, I obviously got drawn in by other publishers' stalls and wanted to buy things. Just realised that I think I've had lipstick on my chin for like this whole video, but that's okay, we move on. Anyway, so I bought some stuff at Yalk. I got a copy of Tastes Like Shikar by Nisha Sharma. So I don't actually know anything about this book, but this is from the same author who wrote Dating Dr. Dill, which is a romance I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. Her romances are like sweet and spicy retellings of Shakespeare plays, and this one is a retelling of Much Ado About Nothing. I don't need to know anything about the plot. I'm just gonna go into this and enjoy it. And then I picked up 2 books from Tessa Bailey, and I already have 3 Tessa Bailey books on my shelves that I haven't read yet, so I honestly, I shouldn't have bought these. I should have read the 3 that are already on my shelves. So these are also steamy rom-coms. Secretly Yours is the first book. I don't know if these are like, I don't think these are like directly sequels, but I think they have like the same sort of characters that crop up. maybe. But they are both steamy romances. Secretly Yours is the first one, and it is about Hallie and Julian, who are from the same small town. Hallie had a massive crush on Julian when she was 14, after they almost kissed in like the gardens of a family vineyard. Now that they are adults, Julian has gone off. He's become a professor. I think he's like writing a novel. He comes back to the small town, and Hallie is tasked with revamping their family garden. So she's been like hired to do that. And as they start to spend time together because of that kind of like forced proximity, they realize that their lives have gone in quite different directions. They've become very different people. They are kind of opposites, but they also really fancy each other. And I think that's, you know, that's the plot. And then Unfortunately Yours is about a marriage of convenience between a down on her luck heiress and a man that she cannot stand. And that's all I really know about this one. Let's stay on the spice. So I have a copy of Wildfire by Hannah Grace. So this is the follow-up to Icebreaker. This begins at the same university, Maple Hills, that Icebreaker is set at. It is about Russ and Aurora, who cross paths at a college party, end up spending the night together after a drinking game, and then Aurora slips away and they don't have a way of like kind of making contact again until they meet again at their first day of work as camp counselors. So they have tried to escape kind of the Maple Hills campus, and they are going to become camp counselors, which like feels like a very American thing. Like I don't think I really fully understand what like camp counselors do, but obviously there is so much sizzling tension between the two of them given their history. But this camp also has a no fraternizing between colleagues rule. I love that. I love when you're like not allowed to do something, so it just makes you want to do it all the more. I also have 2 books from Elena Armas. So I have The American Roommate Experiment and The Long Game. So I should probably read The Spanish Love Deception before I read these, which I absolutely will do. But actually the concepts of these books appeal to me a lot more than The Spanish Love Deception. So who's to say I don't need to read them in order. So The American Roommate Experiment is about Rosie, who has quit her well-paid job to pursue her kind of secret career as a romance writer. I mean, the dream. But once she does that, she ends up entering into a real creative slump. Then the ceiling of her New York apartment falls in. Not really the dream. She decides to go to her best friend's apartment to seek refuge there, when she discovers that her friend has already let her apartment to her very hot cousin Lucas, who Rosie has been stalking on Instagram. Lucas suggests that he and Rosie share this small space, and when he learns about her writer's block, he suggests that they go on a series of dates to kind of ignite her inspiration. There's just so many things about this that I really love. The Long Game is a sports-themed romance, so that really appeals to me. We are following Adeline, who has worked for her father's football club, but really wants to make a name for herself. That ends up happening, but for all of the wrong reasons. A video of Adeline goes viral that is quite embarrassing, and as a result of this, her father sends her to a small town to turn around a struggling soccer team. A soccer team of 9-year-old girls, and there is one person that is there to help her, and that is Cameron, who is a retired goalkeeping legend who it's not really clear why he's in town. We love a spicy sports romance, so really looking forward to this one too. This next book was recommended to me by Katie at Books and Things, and that is Mrs. Nash's Ashes by Sarah Adler. It took me so many takes to be able to say the title of this book, Mrs. Nash's Ashes. I really trust Katie's recommendations, so her just saying that she thinks I would like this book was enough for me to pick it up. So this is about Millie, who is a former child star and die-hard romantic, and her mission in this book is to go to Key West to fulfill a promise that she made to an elderly friend, Mrs. Nash, and that is to reunite her ashes with her long-lost love. But when Millie tries to make this journey from Washington, D.C. to Key West, all of the flights end up grounded, so she has to get a ride with a guy named Hollis, who is also stranded. Hollis is this like rising literary star that just doesn't believe in love, really. He's heading to Miami for like a no strings attached hookup and hopes of curing his writer's block. So it's this kind of road trip story, them racing down highways, staying in questionable hotels, and I'm guessing falling in love along the way. I also picked up a copy of Careering by Daisy Buchanan. So I've not read anything from this author before, but I really enjoy her podcast, You're Booked. And it was the blurb of this book that really drew me in. So I'm just going to read you the blurb. I know people hate that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Imogen always dreamed of writing for a magazine. Infinite internships later, Imogen dreams of any job. Writing her blog around double pub shifts is neither creatively nor financially fulfilling. Harry might just be Imogen's fairy godmother. She's launching a new feminist site and thinks Imogen's most outrageous sexual content will help generate the clicks she needs. Both women have been bitten and betrayed by the industry they have dedicated themselves to. Will Harry wake up to the way she's being exploited before her protege realizes not everything is copy? Can either woman reconcile their love for work with the fact that work will never love them back? Or is a chaotic rebellion calling? Without going into too much detail, I want to read stuff about careers, both fiction and non-fiction, and the kind of role that our careers play in our lives and our sense of self-worth and those kinds of things. I'm going to move on quickly. I'm really intrigued to read this book. Next, I have The Cassandra Complex by Holly Smale. So I've read quite a few Holly Smale books, but her books for younger readers. So I read the whole Geek Girl series a few years ago, and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were so much fun. So I'm really excited to be reading an adult book from her. So our main character, Cassandra, is a real creature of habit. She likes routine. She really knows what she likes. She really knows what she doesn't like. Her life is run in a very kind of predictable, reliable sort of way until that changes. She's been dumped. She's been fired. Everything is chaos and out of order. Then something even more unexpected happens. She realizes that she can go back to the past. Not only can she revisit the past, but she can change it. So she is frantically trying to put her life back together and restore order. I think this is just such a fun concept. I love books that kind of play around with time and this idea of, you know, if you change something about the past, how different would your life be? I love that concept as something to play with in fiction. So I'm really intrigued to see what the author does with it. And finally, the last book I'm going to talk to you about today is one that I was seeing everywhere. So I wanted to jump on board the hype train. And I picked up a copy of The List by Yomi Adegoke. I've seen quite mixed reviews of this one, so I'm intrigued to see where I fall on the spectrum of being kind of indifferent to it to really enjoying it. Like, it seems like I've not heard anything like really bad about it, but I've heard people like were disappointed. And sometimes I think that just happens when a book is really hyped up. You have such high expectations of it. So a book that you would have normally like thought was really great, you just feel kind of let down by because of that really high expectation that's been set on it. So I'm intrigued to see where I fall on that spectrum. So this is about a couple that seemingly have it all. They are soon to be married. They are both really high flying in their jobs, really successful. They are seen as like couple goals. It really seems that they have it all. They are living the dream until one day the woman in this relationship, Ola, wakes up to see her husband-to-be's name, Michael, on a list. And this is a list of anonymous allegations against men, against abusive men, and this list is being circulated so women can protect themselves. This is the type of story that she would normally be covering in her journalistic work. She would be calling for consequences for these types of men, for them to be fired, for them to lose their positions of power. But that, of course, is more complicated by the fact that her fiance's name is on this list. So she tasks him with proving his innocence in the lead up to their wedding day. So this sounds like really kind of morally complicated and difficult and tricky. So I'm really intrigued to see how this very delicate subject is handled in this book. So that is it. They are all of the books I'm going to talk to you about today. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Have I piqued your interest in any of them? Do you have any book recommendations for me based on the type of book I like reading? If you don't have anything in particular to say, but you want to let me know that you are here, please find this emoji, the like hand covering the mouth emoji that is on the cover of the list. While we're on that topic, I fucking love this cover. Like, I just think it's so brilliant in its simplicity. I love it. I love it. Anyway, that's it for me today. I hope you're doing well, and I will speak to you in my next video.